Ladies and gentlemen and feral ghouls, Fallout is back. Who among us could have predicted that a huge blockbuster television show with an enormous multi-million-dollar marketing machine behind it would bring the franchise back to the forefront and put it back into our collective minds all over again, huh? But I have to admit it, I confess, I have always been honest with you. I too have succumbed to Fallout fever, and I had to pick my poison. What was I going to play? What was I going to spend my Fallout hype month or months, hopefully, on? And I decided that it had to be Fallout 76 because it's the only game that I have not spent a significant amount of time on. So every single Fallout game right now has increased in player base. Everybody's playing different Fallout games. Fallout 4 peaked at like 167,000 concurrent players on Steam the other day. A far cry from its top, but really good. I mean, competing in the top 10 most played games on Steam. And normally, as we do with this data, we more or less can predict that it's similar on consoles as well. Fallout 76, though, reached its highest concurrent players ever at around 76,000 yesterday. So people are playing Fallout 76 a lot. A lot of people remember it as a bad game. A lot of people think that it's still a really bad game. Because remember, Fallout 76 from the start was designed to be a live service, always online, multiplayer looter shooter. And to do that as an experiment, it completely sacrificed many of the things that many fans consider to be core to what Fallout is. And a little bit of a spoiler for what I'm going to talk about later, but I'm really happy that all of the work that the team behind Fallout 76 has put into it over the years to make it what it is today is being recognized and being played by people now. And the reason that people have started to play it, I think, is because of the fans. People keep saying that 76 is good. So here I am, quite a lot of hours into it, level 19, and I want to tell you that Fallout 76 is pretty fun and is pretty good, but it's still not great. I am not on the bandwagon that people are on saying that Fallout 76 was always great, that it was always a great Fallout game, that now it's just better, and people are finally realizing how good of a game it is. Well, hold your horses there, just for a moment, okay? Slow down, because that's not the whole picture. So there are really good parts to this game, but I want to break down from my perspective if it's something worth your time, and also some really important advice if you want to start playing it. Now, I am a solo gamer. I don't really like multiplayer unless it's strictly competitive, or it's the type of multiplayer games that are more drop-in, drop-out type of game, something like a battle royale that I can play with my friends. I generally don't like talking to people too much because my day job is talking to people all day. So normally when I'm not at work, I don't enjoy, making people cooperate. I already do that for a living. So I always thought that what Fallout 76 was and what I wanted from it were completely incompatible. The conversations around Fallout 76 that I would always pay attention to were the ones where people would ask, but can I play it solo? Can I pretend that this is Fallout 4 from an alternate reality? And a lot of the comments that people made were, yes, you can. And it turns out they are right, kind of. Not that simple. It'll make sense in just a bit. So keep in mind, I have jumped into Fallout 76 with that expectation of being able to play the game solo and hopefully have it be as close as possible to the previous Fallout experiences. And when Fallout 76 launched as an always online multiplayer live service game, that was not in the cards for it. It was never designed to be like that. When it launched, there were no NPCs. There were just robots, but there weren't actually any humans in the world. It was meant that every other human you saw was a player. It was meant to be about communities and building bases and telling their own stories in a Fallout universe. But that, to me, is not what Fallout is about. It's not about community-driven stories. It never has been. It's an interesting experiment to do, but What I want from Fallout is the ability to pick a direction on the map, walk towards it, and encounter cool stuff on the way. Interesting quest lines, interesting stories, interesting environmental storytelling, loot, and, you know, decent-ish combat. That is what I want from my Fallout experience. And the magic trick that the team that has, with their hard work and dedication, supported Fallout 76 for the last 6 years, has not transformed the game into that, but has made that exist. The core Fallout loop, or what I consider it to be the Fallout loop, and what I think a lot of people think it is, otherwise I wouldn't see so many people asking those questions of, but can I play it solo? Can I pretend it's a different game? That's in the game now. That is there, and I can't even begin to imagine how much work and fine-tuning, major patch after major patch, this game has had in order to reach this state. But just because that core loop exists now in the game doesn't mean that it's the best version of that loop that we've ever had, nor does it mean that all the other stuff is gone from it. I think Fallout 76 works the best when it now combines that classic Fallout loop of exploration and questing with all of the mechanics that it has of being a looter shooter, including some of that multiplayer element, including meeting other people out in the world, including joining up for some events, I guess, which I don't want to do, but this game is tempting me because I'm just having a good time in it. And if that's where Fallout 76 is at its best, it is, in its current form, at its worst when you can see the patchwork that was done in order to fit in that classic loop to a game that wasn't designed with it in mind. I think they've done an exceptional job of taking advantage of what I haven't explored every inch of the map. I'm not intimately familiar with it as I am with the other Fallout games, but I think so far that Appalachia will easily end up being my favorite Fallout map. And taking that map and repurposing it to fit that more traditional Fallout vibe in it has been wonderful. Like, I think they did a great job considering where this game comes from. At the same time, you can see the seams. The game's at its best when it's seamless, but those seams show up really often. You can see where something was just made to have new NPCs. You can see where quest lines were introduced or where locations were repurposed. You can see in how the quest lines are written, how some of them just feel like they weren't meant to be there. It's a very strange feeling to be aware of it, but it's only sometimes. I really find it hard to describe because this isn't just a case of, well, because I know it is now, I'm seeing it everywhere. No, there are moments where you go to a place and you're like, oh, this is a traditional Fallout settlement. This was always here with these NPCs and these quest lines. 100%. This was always designed to be a set piece quest in a set piece location, even though we know that it wasn't. But other times you see those seams. The start of the game is the worst part of it because you can see all of those seams, and it's the one that reminds you the most of what the game was if you're coming at it from my perspective. They did redo the introduction to the game. Things are different from launch, obviously, and it does set you on a quest line with humans that ask you to do stuff and introduce you to the world, but it isn't very well written at the start, and the world seems kind of boring. It definitely feels retrofitted. Like, originally this game was much more about leave the vault, do stuff, and now it's about we made this the tutorial area, kind of. And the characters aren't that good, and there's a lot of, hey, you need to learn how to set up your camp, which are like your settlements, and set up your workbenches and generators, and how to build defenses, and go claim this workbench so that this territory is yours and you can build in it, but also you might have to defend this territory from other players, or it will randomly come under attack from other people, so make sure to build out your settlements. And I'm like, I do not like this, please stop. I wanted to like this, and like 2 hours in I was like, nope, this is not for me, but I stayed with it. And that main quest line turns out to be pretty funny. Turns out to have some really cool moments to it, and immediately led me to other quest lines, and before I knew it, I was really enjoying the game and finding constant new quests to engage with, really interesting locations with some great design to them. I've always said that the heart of Fallout's location design is to take very interesting concepts and locations of the real world, and in a realistic but still tongue-in-cheek way, make them fit within the Fallout universe. And a lot of the things in this game are just really cool. A lot of the settlements, I think something like White Springs being a golf resort is awesome. There's small places like Horizon's Rest, which is a settlement kind of built out of the remains of an airplane that is really cool. There's amusement parks. There's a lot of good fundamental post-apocalyptic Fallout design in the game, combined with that more recent, very green, you know, earliest in the timeline feel that Fallout 76 has and is now fully realized through filling out the world with these NPCs and these stories. And I am genuinely surprised at how much of that essential Fallout exists in a game that was never meant to have it. It does have all of the other things, though. This is a looter shooter in the way that the loot and the scrapping and the repairing and the taking care of settlements, potentially, if you want to, you can really ignore it, which I'm very happy about, is still there. The constant notifications from people to go participate in an event, the daily quests that they want you to do for resources to participate in bigger, potentially group missions, although you can do them solo, are there. The live service elements of it are there. Of course, Fallout first. The subscription service is the first thing you see when you open the game, and it wants you to buy Fallout first. Another very big important warning is that I thought that I was going to be able to jump into the game and probably the newest, best content or the catch-up mechanisms for people who wanted to get, you know, up to date with how the game's current loop is and its daily quests or its raids and things like that was going to be Atlantic City, which a lot of people saw because it was at big events, Summer Games Fest type of stuff. And then it would be something like, well, I start the game and it won't take very long for them to send me to Atlantic City, which is probably this whole other region with other stuff, and it'll be nicer and tighter. It was completely designed from the beginning to be in the new version of Fallout 76. That is not the case. It's going to take you a while to reach Atlantic City. I'm not exactly sure how fast you can, you know, if you beeline everything to get there, how quickly you can get to Atlantic City, but those are expeditions, which are basically kind of like raids, okay? They're side activities. They are not a main world to explore. Both it and the pit, which are in the game, are side things that you do with a faction, and think of them kind of like raids. You need to level up and gear up in order to go do that, as well as fulfill some requirements for that faction in order to do expeditions with them. There is no shiny new area that you can go to and just experience the best version of the game. What has always been there, slowly patched up and worked up to what it is today, is the game. The whole Atlantic City thing and the pit are just these side activities that you cannot just straight up go to as soon as you start the game. So keep that in mind, that it's a commitment. It's going to take you a while to be ready to even experience that content, just in case you had that perception of it like I did. The underlying systems of the game and what it was designed for is still there. It's just that I think that from the start, at least what the current version of 76 proves to me, is that from the start, this was always going to be a more successful live service Fallout MMO with all of those NPCs and settlements and interesting stories, with fleshing out the world and having players inhabit it with other humans and with the way that it is now. Because when that traditional Fallout system is blended in correctly to that system, it's great. I really do like it. It's not my favorite Fallout so far. It's not going to change my life in the way that Fallout 3 or New Vegas did. It's not consuming me the way that Fallout 4 did when it came out, or recent games, I don't know, the way that Elden Ring or Tears of the Kingdom consumed me when I started playing them. But I am having a good enough time that despite having like a massive calendar here of stuff that I want to cover, of videos that are in production right now, I am trying to find some free time in order to play 76 just because I'm having a good time. I didn't intend on making a video, but I felt like there's a lot of exaggeration of people saying it's still bad, and a lot of people saying that it's excellent. So I wanted to put my perspective out there for anybody who is thinking about jumping into 76 to have a different point of view and to know that that introduction is horrible. You have to push through it, or at least in my opinion, it is just really, really bad. And you do, like, once you push through it, it's good. There's a point in the story where the game just says, hey, you need to get to level 20. And you can do that however you want. If you want to do that with multiplayer events, you can. If you want to do it spending time at your settlements, you can. If you just want to pick a direction and walk in it and encounter quests and loot and places to explore, you can. And that's what I've been doing. I've been having a really, really good time. I've just been enjoying my time with it. Doesn't blow my socks off. Still weird, still janky, still glitchy, like every Bethesda game that has ever existed.
Oh, thank God you're here.
Okay, I mean, it's raining inside, but I guess
it's just
that's
good
just
to
West
see you.
Virginia.
Let's talk downstairs. Cozy as this place is, there's someone
Rain.
I'd like you to meet.
There's rainfall.
We really went overboard with this place. Feel free to look around.
Could have made it waterproof, though.
Sometimes more glitchy and weird than other times. And a lot of that is server issues. Like, there is a noticeable latency sometimes to combat, to interacting with things, to placing things down, to the way that quests are delivered and menus update and damage is calculated. There's weird rubber banding. I've been thrown backwards in time a little bit. My connection, by the way, is solid. I've never had issues with online games of this sort before, to be honest, but I'm having it here. Their servers might be getting hammered because a lot of people are playing the game, so I imagine that's partially to blame. And aside from that, there is just typical Bethesda jank of the good variety, of the fun variety, and of the slightly annoying variety, both. It's just part of the games that you can't get rid of. But I'm really surprised to say this. If you're itching for a bit of Fallout, a little bit more condensed exploratory Fallout, but with just enough pinches of the quests and the world building, and you want to try something new during this Fallout fever season without going back to games you've already played, and you've had 76 there on the back burner, it is a multiplayer game. I doubt it's ever gonna be more alive than it is right now. So give it a shot. Just don't expect magic, because that's what a lot of people sold me. And it's not magic. It is what it is. It's a game that has been toiled on and worked over and reworked for 6 years, and I'm really happy that the team that has turned it into what it is today is getting players that are going to see the fruits of their labor. So yeah, that's just my impressions on Fallout 76. Go have a good time. I've been Mugthief. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, remember to hit the like button. Helps out a ton. And if you want more of my opinions on games and all sorts of stuff, hit the subscribe button. Thank you as well to my wonderful patrons up on the $1 patron wall. I've been Mugthief. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, I'll see you again very soon.